Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's special debate on the fascinating and often controversial subject of narcissism. Our panel features two iconic minds, Dr. Doom, the brilliant and enigmatic dictator, and Mr. Fantastic, one of the world's leading scientists and minds. Together with Dr. Emma, our clinical psychologist, we will delve into the complexities of the human psyche and explore whether narcissism is something that can be cured. Let's begin by discussing our first topic. Is narcissism a deficiency of emotions, or is it an excess?
Narcissism is neither deficiency nor excess. It is the reflection of supreme intellect and control. Emotions are a weakness, a fluctuation that dilutes true power. I do not lack emotion. I possess only the emotions that serve me. The rest are insignificant.
Victor, while your intellect is undeniably formidable, emotions are a fundamental part of the human experience. What you describe sounds more like a suppression, not mastery. Narcissism, from a psychological perspective, often stems from an exaggerated sense of self-worth, but it may be compensating for emotional deficiencies. A sense of superiority can mask deep feelings of inadequacy.
Mr. Richards brings up an important point. Narcissism, in clinical terms, is often seen as a defense mechanism. It's not necessarily about an excess of emotions, but rather a distorted relationship with self-worth and others. It's not about having too many feelings, but about having them in a way that is self-serving and disconnected from true empathy.
Interesting perspectives from both sides. Dr. Doom, it sounds like you see emotions as a tool, while Reed and Dr. Emma emphasize the emotional deficiencies underlying narcissism. Let's shift to our next topic. Can narcissism be cured by changing one's perception of themselves? Can a person simply change how they see the world and themselves, or is it something more intrinsic?
Changing perception is futile. The world does not change. Only the mind can be restructured. I am the embodiment of a perfected vision. Others seek cures because they are weak, unable to transcend their limitations. To change oneself is to accept mediocrity. I do not require a cure. I am beyond them all.
Victor, your vision is what led to your isolation. You built a world around your mind, but that doesn't mean it's the only path forward. Changing perception is part of therapy. It helps the individual understand their actions, their relationships with others. It's a process of self-awareness. Narcissism can be mitigated through cognitive restructuring, which can help shift the destructive patterns of thinking.
Both sides are correct in their own way. Narcissism often revolves around an inflated self-image, and part of the therapeutic process is helping individuals examine that self-image. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is one method that has been effective in treating narcissistic traits by challenging distorted thinking. But it's not about an immediate cure. It's about understanding and creating healthier self-concepts.
It's clear that perception plays a significant role, though opinions diverge on its effectiveness as a cure. Let's delve deeper into something more personal. Can narcissism be the result of profound emotional injury? Could it be that a wounded ego creates the distorted sense of self we see in narcissists?
You speak as though my greatness is the result of pain. My power is the result of will, of intellect, and the perfection of my mind. Weak minds seek refuge in excuses. My path is one of strength, forged through trials I have chosen.
Victor, no one is questioning your intellect or achievements, but there's a deeper truth here. Narcissism often emerges as a defense mechanism to shield the individual from past trauma or emotional pain. It's a way to protect oneself from further harm by constructing an idealized self. This defense could stem from a deep-rooted injury, an emotional wound that refuses to heal.
Narcissism can indeed be linked to early trauma. In many cases, those who develop narcissistic traits have faced emotional neglect, humiliation, or abandonment. Over time, these experiences warp self-perception. leading to a hyperinflated sense of self-importance to compensate for feelings of inadequacy.
Emotional injury and trauma certainly seem to play a role. Let's explore the idea of self-image further. Is the creation of a powerful image, like Dr. Doom's, a form of salvation, or does it only cause further damage?
Power is salvation. Those who create an image of weakness are doomed to failure. My image is my strength. It is not a facade. It is the embodiment of my will. In a world where the weak govern, those who seek salvation through appearances are doomed. My image is a mirror of my true power.
Victor, I respect your strength, but power without empathy or connection to others only leads to isolation. A powerful image may fool the world, but it doesn't bring real satisfaction. In fact, it can be the most hollow form of existence, leading to deeper internal conflict. The need for validation, for constant recognition of that image, eventually consumes the individual.
An image of strength can certainly be a defense, but it doesn't necessarily provide real healing. It can mask the pain, but never resolve it. True healing comes from confronting vulnerabilities, not perpetuating the illusion of perfection.
Fascinating insights. The creation of a strong image can indeed be both a shield and a prison. But let's move to our next critical topic. Are Dr. Doom's actions the result of a psychological disorder, or are they choices rooted in his moral compass?
I am no mere product of disorder. My choices are deliberate and necessary. The world is full of chaos, but I bring order, and those who oppose me are simply blind to the greater good. My morality is one of justice for the world, not for the weak.
Victor, your vision of order has blinded you to the suffering it causes. You see yourself as a savior, but your actions come from a place of deep arrogance, not true justice. Your choices, however noble in your mind, hurt those around you.
It's important to distinguish between disorder caused by internal turmoil and deliberate action stemming from a skewed moral compass. Dr. Doom's actions may stem from a disorder, but they're also an expression of his belief in his own superiority. There's an interplay between psyche and choices.
Fascinating. Now, let's explore whether narcissism can be seen as a survival strategy in modern society. Dr. Doom, do you believe that narcissistic behaviors, especially in today's competitive world, are a form of adapting to society's pressures?
Absolutely. In a world where the weak are crushed, only those with supreme confidence and an indomitable will survive. Narcissism is not a flaw, but a strategy, a necessary tool to achieve and maintain dominance. Society respects power, and those who understand this thrive. The weak cling to humility, but the truly powerful bend society to their will.
But that's precisely the problem, Victor. Narcissism, when unchecked, perpetuates a system of exploitation and oppression. It may help you rise to power, but it isolates you from the very society you dominate. It creates a cycle of alienation where true human connection becomes impossible. Survival should not be about manipulation and self-interest, but cooperation and understanding.
It's an interesting point. Narcissism may indeed serve as a coping mechanism or even a perceived advantage in certain environments, but it often leads to dysfunctional relationships. It can isolate individuals, even as they succeed. In a society that values individuality over community, narcissism may be seen as adaptive, but it doesn't necessarily lead to long-term fulfillment or mental health.
That's a very important distinction. While narcissism can be a tool for survival, it often comes at the cost of personal well-being. Now, let's turn to a deeply philosophical question. Can someone control their guilt if they're unaware of the consequences of their actions?
Guilt is the weakness of the powerless. I do not concern myself with guilt because I understand the consequences of my actions. The world does not reward those who regret. It rewards those who act decisively. To question consequences is to be ensnared by doubt, a trap I avoid.
Victor, guilt is not just about weakness. It's about accountability. And while you may feel justified in your actions, it's important to recognize that not understanding the consequences of one's actions can be a sign of a deeper psychological issue. Without an awareness of the harm caused, there can be no real remorse, and therefore no meaningful change.
From a psychological perspective, guilt is often tied to a person's ability to reflect on their actions and the harm they may cause. If someone truly does not recognize the consequences, it becomes very difficult for them to feel guilt. This lack of awareness can be a significant barrier to growth and healing.
Guilt, self-awareness, and consequences, such intertwined concepts. But what about the broader perspective? Is a larger-than-life ego a symptom of a psychological disorder, or is it a sign of exceptional strength?
A larger-than-life ego is the mark of greatness. It is not a disorder, but a recognition of one's place in the universe. I have built everything that I am through sheer willpower and intellect. Those who hide behind humility are the truly weak, unable to recognize their true potential. My ego is my strength, not my weakness.
There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. What you describe as strength can easily be seen as a barrier, preventing you from truly connecting with others. The ego, when inflated, blinds us to reality and limits our ability to grow or even to relate to the world outside of ourselves. It's not a mark of greatness, but often a sign of deep-seated insecurity.
Ego, in moderation, is important for self-preservation and self-esteem. But when it grows to an extreme, it becomes a shield that prevents us from facing our vulnerabilities. An inflated ego is often a defense mechanism against inner pain. It can be a mask to avoid confronting the emotional wounds that lie beneath.
Great point, Saul. Ego is indeed a double-edged sword. Now, let's delve deeper into an even more profound question. Is there a distinction between a great ego and a desire for power, such as Dr. Doom's wish to control the world?
There is no difference. The desire for power is the natural consequence of greatness. Those who control power shape the world in their image. The weak beg for change, but only those who hold power can implement it. I seek control not out of greed, but out of the necessity of guiding the world toward true order. It is my right and my responsibility.
Victor, power cannot be wielded in a vacuum. It corrupts the soul when used without accountability. The quest for control is not inherently wrong, but when it disregards the freedom and autonomy of others, it becomes tyranny. True greatness comes from inspiring others, not from dominating them.
The drive for control is often tied to narcissism. It's about imposing one's will on others to affirm one's sense of self-importance. But there is a difference between wanting to guide and wanting to dominate. The latter is rooted in fear and insecurity, not strength. It's a desperate attempt to hold on to something that ultimately cannot be controlled.
The distinction between power for guidance and domination is crucial. Now, let's consider this. Could Dr. Doom be redeemed through psychological methods, or is he simply a product of society's extremities?
There is nothing to redeem. I am beyond redemption. My path is the only one that leads to true progress. To suggest otherwise is to underestimate the vision I carry for the world.
Even the most extreme minds can change, Victor. But change comes from self-awareness, from realizing the impact of your actions on others. Until you understand that, the cycle of destruction will continue.
Redemption is always possible if someone is open to it, but it requires vulnerability, a willingness to confront the damage caused. Dr. Doom's path is difficult, but it is not irreversible. Psychological methods can help, but they require the individual's consent and readiness to change.
A powerful, thought-provoking debate. Can narcissism be cured? Can individuals like Dr. Doom change? These are questions that cut to the heart of human nature. As our time draws to a close, we leave you with more questions than answers. But that's the nature of the mind. The more we seek, the more we discover. Thank you to our panelists and to all of you watching tonight.